Today I'm making a bead bot out of beads, styrene, sculpting wire, and some dots. The year is 2112, and it's been 73 years since the reset took place. The crash of the world economy and the subsequent chaos that ensued separated the haves and the have-nots like no other time in history. Two groups emerged: the elite class, those who maintained their status and controlled all of the USA's natural resources, and the oil rats, whose existence was to serve as pseudo-slaves to the elite. The elite used AI-controlled high-tech robots to police the oil rats and ensure they contributed to society. But the oil rats created pockets of resistance, capturing those robots and repurposing them to fight. Without access to the technological advances and manufacturing of the elite, they repaired their captured bots by cobbling scrap together. So you may be asking yourself, what is a bead bot? Well, I asked myself the same thing. And when I first stumbled across it, thanks to Bill Making Stuff on YouTube, there'll be a link down below. He is an amazing creator, and his videos are beyond reproach. I looked at that and I'm like, wow, that looks pretty simple. It'd be a nice change of pace from working on die-cast cars. And boy, was I wrong. Yes, it was a nice change of pace, but man, is it a lot of work for something so small. So the premise of it is it's about the size of what a real robot, I guess, if there were such a thing, is. So I'm using a 40mm base, but since I don't have anything, I cut a piece of styrene and kind of gouged it up to make it look like a rough terrain. And then I'd gone to Michael's, and there was only 8,000 sets of beads to choose from. So I picked up this set, and the biggest one that they had I used as the main body of the actual bead bot. And then the sculpting wire, along with various assortment of beads, hence the word bead bot, became my arms and my legs, trying to take into consideration where joints would be and how things would bend. This looks fairly simple, but when you're actually trying to figure it out, it's a little unnerving, but it gets easier as you do it. I needed feet, and being an electrician, I happen to have quite a few spade connectors in my van, so I went out and grabbed a couple, and I decided to use those as the arms, or excuse me, as the legs. That's going to get covered up anyways, so I figured it would be a good base, and I had to put a piece of styrene in just to give it some rigidity and to be able to slide onto the sculpting wire. Everything is held together with super glue or some form of glue. And to keep this fairly interesting, I wanted the pose to have some form of motion or look like it was doing something. So if you'll notice, one leg is higher than the other. Then it was the head, and to come up with an eye. Hence the little dots. I call them dots. Not sure what they are. Beads, dots, whatever they are. There was another 8,000 to choose from at Michael's. So I needed something for my terrain, so I had a bunch of used sprues, and some of those sprues are from Warhammer, some are Gundam, and miscellaneous parts that I'd never used were still on them, so I kind of cut all those up into little pieces and meticulously glued them to the base and raised up one side so his leg would have something to stand on. That was actually the easiest part of the whole thing. So now I need arms, so I figured I'd drill into the bead, which is the body of the actual robot itself. And what I did find rather enjoyable about this was the fact that anything goes. You can kind of do whatever you want. And once you get your head wrapped around actually doing this, it really does become entertaining and challenging at the same time. So, for something that's so small, I don't think I've put as much work into something in a long time as I have with this bot. So I wanted the arms to be a little longer than average because it's a robot, and who really cares? Excuse me. So I have this air fitting that I use at work for pneumatic stuff, and that was perfect for some form of a weapon. And I was thinking of like a plasma gun of some sort. So it actually fit over a bead on one side, and then I had some styrene tubing that actually fit in perfect. And I mean, I could have used air tube PVC, but this worked out really well. Then it was something to put on the other arm. And when I first started doing this, I had this vision of a shield. So I have a erratic, uneven piece of styrene that I decided to use like it was something that was picked up off the ground and repurposed as a shield. And that's kind of what I'm going after here. I end up sticking a bunch of various widths and size styrene scrap, because I don't throw anything away, and for this very reason, to make the shield. And that actually worked out really, really well. And again, from the electrical field, I built control panels. These are terminals, markers that you put on terminal strips to identify wires. So I just flipped those upside down, glued those on there, and it added a little bit of depth and character to the actual shield itself. The hardest part about this was the EVA foam. I love it. I think it's great. You can form it to whatever you want. Super glue holds it in place. But man, it's a lot of work. And you spend more time getting glue off your fingers than you do anything else. It was like I've been playing guitar for 30 years, the way my fingers roll. It's almost like they were calloused over. But it was fun, but it was a challenge, let's put it that way. But it emulates armor. So I had a couple joints that were still showing that I couldn't get the beads all the way up to, so I decided to use some green stuff to fill in the empty gaps. And then I've got these ferrules that I use in my diecast world for exhaust tips and stacks and stuff like that on engines. And it worked out really well. Some various sizes, one for the gun and some for what looks to be like a jet pack on the back. There's really no purpose to it. I just thought it looked kind of good, and it took up some space, which was a lot of what this project is, was filling up space with stuff that looks cool. And because there's no rules, you can get away with that. So it's just one of those things that the more you do it, by the time I was done the project, I definitely had a good grasp of what I wanted to do differently, and some great ideas for a future bot if I decide to do another one. And being creative, this type of thing and project really just kind of puts you in the zone. And if you ever have a creative block, build a bead bot. The no rules, anything your imagination can think of type of approach that you put to this really gets you in the zone for other projects that you may be working on. And I'm angry that I've taken this long to actually get to it. And I had been watching Bill for quite a while, which led me to other people. And I'm kicking myself for it taking so long to get to doing this. So here you can see some Cat 5 wire. And what I like about the Cat 5 wire is that it's already got twisted pair wires in it. So after I strip the insulation off, which you don't throw away, you can use that for something anyways, you'll notice there should be 6 pairs of stranded twisted pair wire. And I understand that they're colors right now, but it's all going to get primed anyway. So that works out great for trying to do different things and wire things on your bot, especially at this scale. To me, it's the perfect size wiring, whether it's you keep them as a pair or even individually. I want to say they're 24 gauge, I believe. If you want a little bit tighter wrap, you can use a drill gun. So once I've got that wrapped around, I end up putting some Mod Podge, which I actually had to go buy some because I did not own any, but it seems like it's the crafter's choice. But that was the build itself. As far as painting goes, I'm going to give you a couple minutes of just watching me paint.
So there you have it. This is my official very first Bead Bot. Yeah, this stuff I would probably do different, but for the most part, for my very first one, I'm going to have to say I'm real happy with the way it came out for the amount of time it took me to get this done. Once again, I need to thank Bill from Bill Making Stuff and all the other creators that build these types of things that are so inspirational to those of us looking to try something different and get out of our comfort zone. As you know, I usually build die-cast cars, so this is completely foreign to me. And being my first one, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So all I can say is I hope you gain some inspiration out of it. And if you really want inspiration, go check out Bill's site. Once again, the link is down below, and that'll send you into a rabbit hole of awesome creativity.